Hey, everybody, and welcome to the House of Holocrons, episode 15. This evening, we will be going over just the fun plethora of conversation topics from the Andor most recent series. This is the ending of the 3 episode arc of the prison arc, and man, was it good. I absolutely loved it. Just to dive into the Andoriness. We have a little bit more other news we'll be going over, but first, let's just eat the main course that is this most recent episode of Andor, and has the title of the podcast, One Way Out. What did you think?
It was beautiful. It was such a beautiful episode. There were so
Yes.
many things that happened, so many key points for going forward.
Oh, so
Rebellion,
many.
Mon, all kinds of stuff.
Mhm. Mike, what was your overall opinion? Good episode, yeah?
Yeah, I think probably this episode probably has some of the strongest writing we've gotten so far.
Yeah.
Anywhere from the speeches, the 2 large speeches in this episode,
True.
2 major conversations, one with Mon Mothma and another with Luthen. Yeah, both were really well written. Some of the best writing, most people kind of got overshadowed by the Mon Mothma conversation
Yeah.
because of the other 2 major scenes. But they actually, if you go back and you watch that conversation, is actually
Oh, it's,
pretty
yeah.
well done.
Mon Mothma and what is it, Davo?
Yeah, it's basically a
Davo Kang, right? Something like that?
high-end Coruscant crime lord,
Yeah,
essentially.
a Corellian, not
Yeah,
crime lord, or,
he's he's a
man of
crime lord.
business.
Yeah, yeah. Everything. The one thing that's most interesting about the conversation
Mm-hmm.
is everything essentially has a double meaning.
Oh yeah.
That they're everything. Yeah, they literally the whole everything back and forth. They're just throwing out
And
double meanings and
I think the writing fantastic, but I think the execution is really what sold it.
Yeah.
With having Skarsgård deliver that speech, he had such weight behind it. He had such emotion, weightiness to it.
Yeah.
It hit so
But
hard.
before we dive into the last
I
speech,
just it was so beautiful.
yeah, but you're doing the same thing though. The Mon Mothma one. I mean,
know it was
Davo
really well
comes
done.
into her house, is talking to them about money and finances, and he's reading her like a book. And Mon Mothma is not used to being the person who's not in control of the vibe of the room and
well,
like
it
information.
starts that way. It almost ends up being a verbal chess match because they go
Yes.
back and forth. And she gets a little help by her. I don't remember their names. The other gentleman,
banker.
the banker. Yeah, he helps her
Yeah.
out a little bit. Essentially, he wants something, and she wants something, and he's like he's got the money, she's got the connections,
Yep.
and he wants the whole organized marriage, essentially.
When
He
that's
wants
when
to
things
be
really turn, though, yeah,
yeah,
because he at first is like, I don't want any payment, and she's like, well, no, I'm gonna pay you because I don't want to owe you a favor.
yeah.
Right.
And that's when he's like, oh, no, 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 no favor. Just allow me to return one time with my 14-year-old son.
Because
He
your
wants
daughter is almost of age.
And not even that he wants betrothal. He says, I don't even want to have a betrothal. Just set it up. Because that's the thing is, I think she knows that he already knows who she is in a sense. Because I feel like Mon Mothma's daughter would be down
Oh, 100%.
to be super rich crime lord wife and not have to do anything besides make money all day.
I think she would be down because it is her duty, and her father is probably instilling in her, this is your job. You are to marry and be a political asset.
I think
what's
she's
would
into
sell it
sweets and
is
treats.
her mom wouldn't want her to, and
Yeah.
I think she would definitely
Yes.
She would
do it, 'cause
immediately do it.
Have the luxury lifestyle, be of use to the family,
Mhm.
stick it to her mom.
Yeah, it's the perfect trio. So that's why Mon Mothma's immediately just like, get the fuck out of my house.
he
And
wants
that's
he
why
wants
it's
those he
dad.
wants those family connections. 'Cause
Yes.
once he's on the family, he's gonna expect family favors.
Mhm.
Just it's also a future investment.
Right. And then that's the thing. That's why, like you said, it's the verbal chess at the end. Is my favorite, well, almost one of my favorite parts of that whole episode. Until these later speeches and later scenes, it really stuck to me though. Was where he's saying, it's a lot to think about. And she goes, I'm not going to think about this. And he looks at her and just goes, that's the first untrue thing you've told me this evening. And just walks out. And it's just like, dang. Like he had
Yeah,
her
it's
to right.
well, he starts it off with "I know your husband."
Hmm.
He's shooting straight for, and she goes, he starts off too with talking about the apartment, how he's been there before, but it's been a long time, and
Yeah,
it didn't seem like it changed much, and he's hoping that he'd hope to come by more often, stuff like that,
right.
and just hints left and right that he's been with senators before, but he
And
doesn't
this is
usually get the
nothing
chance
new.
to. Yeah.
Just just play along, and everything will be totally fine.
Yeah.
I already know what you're about. I already know your family life.
Right.
I know what you secretly want. I know why you need the money. I can do this. Don't worry about it.
Do you think he knows about the rebellion? Because he
I
almost
think he
hinted at
has
that to a degree. Like
suspicions.
he knows she's not just doing charity at
Well,
least.
I
the
think he had
fact
suspicions, and
that
then how she reacted confirmed it for him.
Hmm.
she speaks so much against the empire and a lot of her like the empire's control.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not obvious at this point, the only thing she hasn't done is actually done anything.
Yeah, that's not until like the Rebels timeline when she straight up renounces the
Yeah.
Senate and everything and starts
Yeah.
the real rebellion. But no, it was a really awesome scene. And yeah, so that's like the fun stuff we get, and then eventually we'll get like to Luthen and his phone call. But we do, of course, now have the day of. This is the prison
Yeah.
break is about to happen.
The
They've
whole
they've
part of the
talked.
episode.
Yes, this is the cream. The middle of this episode sandwich was the escape and the attempt of the escape, and I thought it was so well shot. It was extremely tense and gripping, and I didn't
Well,
know
because it
who
had
was
to
going to
be.
make
It
it or
had to
who
be
wasn't going to
fast.
make it. Yeah,
Well,
They
there were
had
so
literally a
many.
day
yep.
to get all of this
They
done.
had a moment, and yeah,
There's
you
so
were
many
right. It
good
was a
artistic
water line.
shots with this.
Oh yeah,
Well, that was me that called that
Yeah,
actually.
he
yeah,
said waterline.
yes,
I said maybe
I felt
electric.
like I always saw a lot of reviews. Nobody called the water line. It felt like
yeah,
I thought it was obvious. It's underwater.
right.
It's in a bathroom. My first inkling was to short the electricity, but I was like,
Yeah,
that's really overstretching. But that's what I thought. I thought the real thing, because typically what they do in these kind of scenarios is they try to flood it.
yeah.
But no, that was the short, which helped them because they needed to.
When it really just shows how poorly constructed this
Yeah.
prison was that it can't take a
Well,
overcharge
and
like that.
and that's
Well,
kind of the whole hidden meaning behind this episode.
Hmm.
And same thing that Andor's been trying to point out is the Empire tries to put on a front that they're well
Yeah.
organized, they're always watching, they're always in control. They are this impenetrable machine that they're like master, they're perfect in every way.
Hmm.
But this episode shows you that he's right, that they're not always watching. They
Right.
had no idea what was going to happen. They almost seemed like the prison itself was falling apart as they were doing it. It
Yeah.
was so easily done
Oh, they were
that
so understaffed,
that
undertrained. I mean, that scene when they get to the breakout after they've successfully like climbed and captured a few. There are just what like 20, 30 guards cowering in a room.
well, and it
because they know
shows
they're
you that
outnumbered.
Yeah.
it shows you the employees that even the Empire tells them their own people that there's no way that this could happen because they're so perfect. So even
Hmm.
when they get to the control room, the guy's like, you can't be here. He doesn't know what to do because it doesn't fathom to him that
Hmm.
that's possible, and so he just kind of freezes and doesn't know what he's supposed to do, and he just stands there frozen.
They 100% were just never expecting them to rebel because the fear of the empire and the fear of retaliation. And when that was out the window, they took it over in no time. It was
Like I
easy.
said, it almost shows that it was a front. It felt like the few staff that they had was barely around.
Hmm.
They're probably chilling in the break room playing Zoc or
Yeah.
Doc, or they're probably sleeping, or who knows.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
they get to the main control hub and it's only two people.
Three.
They shoot one.
Yeah, there were three guys. There were two
Okay.
on the side and then one dude in the middle.
All right, so they shot one and they're the two, but still, like that's the whole facility. And Andor again did the right thing. He's like, no, shut it down. I know it'll take months to restart it. I don't want you guys to restart it while we're escaping. Shut it all down completely. Close the dams. Close everything. Which was really smart. And that's when we kind of get into the one of the awesome, amazing scenes. The next amazing monologue. The really great scene from
Blank on his name right before everything.
Dino Kang.
Which-
I literally just
Talking
wrote it
about
down because I
talking
wanted to
about Andy
remember.
Serkis's
Yes.
character.
These
It's
circuits.
Kino Loy's
Kino
is
Loy.
good.
Yeah, Kino
I
Kino
wrote
Loy.
it down
Kino
because I
is
don't
now
remember.
one of my all-time favorite characters.
Oh, Kino Loy is
Yeah,
amazing.
I
But
don't know if I want to. I'm afraid we won't see him again. I don't know if that's a good
yeah.
thing or a bad thing because I don't want it to be tarnished. But
Mhm.
also, I like to see more because he really owned that role in this.
Oh yeah. We get to see him like really pushing the team and like leading it, and he's the one who kind of gets the loudspeaker and tells the whole prison like, "Hey man, this is us. One way out. We're going to escape together. We have to do this together. If we do it now, they can't stop us." And then we get to the very end, and it's a beautiful scene where he's smiling, looking at everyone, going, "I can't swim, so he can't jump, and he can't escape because he can't swim."
It was so heartbreaking because it's like you did all this work, you can't leave. You're stuck.
He's not stuck.
They're gonna kill him.
No,
They're
someone's
kill-
another transport will show up and they'll take it over or something, and he'll get off. Or he jumped and they helped him to shore anyway, but then he wanted to go a different way, and that's why Cassian and Meryl head
Yeah,
off to where they're going.
and those are the two that are in a group from Rogue One. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm guessing they keep either connected or they are together.
they either run. They probably. What do you think they're going to run into Saw's group, or they're going to run into Luthen?
Well, because of the connections of Rogue One, I'm guessing it has to be something to do with Luthen.
Yeah.
They might could get reconnected with him
Yeah.
because I feel like Luthen doesn't want Andor killed. I don't. I
Oh
think
no.
No.
Yeah,
I
Luthen
think
loves
that, yeah.
Andor. He's like his
So I
prodigal
think
son.
so. If he can get with Andor, I think that'll. That's probably what he'll have to do because
Mhm.
he's wanted by both sides at this point.
So, and Andy Serkis did a recent set of interviews. They're amazing. Go watch them if you can. All about his character and his time on the set, and he really was invested in Kino Loy. Even better than that, though, is how he kind of talks about the beauty of his character knowing full well that they're surrounded by water, and that's the way they're going to escape. And but he was still going to lead this because he knew he would survive somehow, or just to do it, to do something.
See, and I kind of want to talk about that speech.
Yeah.
How he was telling them to escape, and he kind of faltered for a minute, but then Andor's like, "You have to do this.
Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah.
You need to do this."
Well, you could see you could see almost the war is tearing him inside as he's
Mhm.
doing it, and also good on Andor for realizing that it has to be him to do the speech
Yeah.
because it wouldn't have been the same. Andor just that's not this type of person. He hasn't been a leader of the prison like he has, so it's very useful to have him. And then, yeah, the acting the whole time was great. I mean, when you first meet him, you hate him,
Yeah.
you think he's the scum, and then you start to really like him when you start to get to see it's a guy who's been living there. He's been counting on the days. He's been trying to get the shortest way out as possible.
Right.
He's just playing along the rules how he's been told. That's how everybody, but he's been there probably the longest because of how charged he is, and that's he doesn't want to die from the Imperials. He's probably seen guys, they step out of line,
Yep.
they get
Shocked to death immediately.
get the
I will
floor
say
and
I'm very happy being proven wrong because I said he wasn't gonna turn. I was like, I don't like him. He's gonna be to the end.
Nope. He was.
He was not, and it made me very happy.
I'll definitely get my Kino Loy Black Series figure.
Go
Uh,
right.
It was
Oh,
yeah,
Yes.
it was so good. The speech, and like I said, the speech when it started hitting off, and then as they're showing the angles from all the prisoners running through,
Mm-hmm.
and showing how they met each other, and like, oh yeah, we're on the same team before they're
Yeah.
grabbing blasters, and they would show it on the
So
map of the
impactful.
little dots kind of converging from all the
Yep.
cells into one area. And then you could see guys just climbing up, and they're all yelling, they're all chanting "one way out," and then also the cinematography, and that was so good.
Yeah.
Uh, it just switching back and forth. And you would step out, and they're all out there, and then
Mm-hmm.
like I said, and then the jump. It's really iconic way of leaving the prison too. They're all
Yeah.
leaping out, and then you see the overhead shot of them almost fanning out into the water that way.
Right. It's literally this like dive to freedom. Like it's this. If you just let go and jump, you'll be free. Just let go of the bonds, let go of the system, and just take action into your own hands. Which was stellar. But then after that, we get to see who apparently we go a little bit of scenes with the ISB. They're setting up some stuff, and then we finally get to see who apparently the big mole person who's been helping Luthen with so much of the information is little ginger biscuit boy from the ISB who was sitting right next to Deidre, a little ginger mustache. He's been actually a mole this whole time, feeding information to Luthen, and then shows up at the last second here to really kind of like give his last adieu because he wants out. He just had a daughter, which of course Luthen like talks to him about. He's like, "Oh, you just had a daughter. That's so cool." Which he of course knows is like, "Oh, he's threatening me. He's letting me know like, hey, he knows everything going on in my life." And
Well, Luthen does point out a good
mhm.
thing. He's like, if we let you go, the Empire won't. The Empire's not
Yeah,
letting you
you're
leave.
not gonna join your family in laws in their business. The Empire is never gonna let you go. They spent too much time and money on you. You know too much. That's not how this works. But and all of that leads because then of course the ISB agent asks him, "Well, I've sacrificed all this. What have you sacrificed?" And this is what gets into what I believe is the number one monologue in like all of Star Wars now. Like it takes the entirety of the rebels and really condenses it into one man giving a speech, putting his heart on the line. And this is when we get the amazing everything
Yeah,
speech, which is where Luthen really dives full bore into his emotions about what he's giving up. He talks about how he's giving up calm and peace and serenity. He's giving up all of his personal freedom. He's going to become a damned evil, cold man, doomed to hell to kill the Empire. And the best line in the whole thing to me was, I have been damned to use the tools of my enemy to destroy them. He knows he has to act like the Empire to destroy the Empire. He has to make the people hate the Empire, and the only way to do that is make the Empire hate the people.
yeah.
We see that in the
He's
first few episodes. He's down
he's
to
trying to
sacrifice.
he's up to poking the bear
Yes.
essentially.
Yeah.
Because he wants the
And
bear to maul him so that they can go bear hunting.
my favorite thing about this, not only just the speech alone, because him and Andy Serkis literally stole the episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um,
100%.
the
And/or who?
the thing to me that was one of the best parts is they really are confirming that it's not black and white.
Mhm.
It's sometimes to do good things you have to do bad, and it's the Saw Gerrera approach,
Yeah.
except not as open. Saw's more open about it. At least you can give him that.
Yeah. But yeah.
Lucen is
But
very content to work in the shadow
Mhm.
and do everything. And Saw is like, nah, I'm gonna make sure my face is plastered all over this, and they know who
yeah, he
did it.
wants. Well, he wants to be feared by the Empire. He wants to
Right.
show up, and the troopers that are stationed at the garrison. Just the name Saw Gerrera just sends
Make
shivers
him
down their spine.
quiver in their armor.
But that's the best thing is Luthen needs Saw to be that
Yeah.
face,
Yeah.
so he can be in the background pulling all the strings, and no one knows he exists. That's the thing. I
Well,
think Deidre, when she's searching for this Axis, this number one
yeah.
first guy, she's probably gonna find Saw first. She's not
Well,
gonna find Luthen right away.
the whole point of Luthen does is he's essentially the uniter at this point. He's the one
Yeah.
that's trying to connect all the cells or the pieces and using communication networks and spies to relay and to organize it so that it does. But he tries to do it in a way where it looks unorganized to keep him off
Mm-hmm.
the trail.
Yeah.
Oh, small Easter egg with Lucian's shop. Did you guys notice that it was Padme's
Yep.
crown?
I was
Mhm.
gonna get to that when we got to the Easter eggs, but yes,
Sorry,
that's one of the no, it's fine. One of the Easter eggs is he's literally it's a newer piece, and
Yeah.
he literally like shines it or cleans it.
Yeah.
I had to
Okay.
look it up to make sure it was the
I
exact
thought
pattern.
that's what it was whenever I was watching it. I was like, I bet that's
Yeah.
No.
If you look her up and you get a close up, it is the exact pattern as her headpiece. So I don't know if it's her headpiece, but it's.
Oh, it's got to be. I wonder if he knows the connection or anything,
Who
I mean,
knows?
he's
or it's
selling in
just
the
a
shop.
pretty
He's
thing
got
from
to.
Naboo.
He knows something about it, and yeah, I mean, it would be for a lot of senators and like people would be a very popular.
Oh yeah, because the Emperor's from Naboo.
Yeah, that too. That'll help.
One thing before we go too far off, and I can only get some of the Easter eggs together in one lump. Um, One thing that it felt like almost a mirror image of early Palpatine
Oh yeah,
Luthen. A
yeah.
similar kind of hiding like a
Oh,
double
if
life.
Luthen had the Force, he would be a dark
Oh,
Jedi.
man. because
Yeah.
he's got this hidden life. He acts like a this this nice old man that
Mhm.
is friendly to everyone. Got connections. Underneath, he's got dark, and he wants he's controlling things and
That
pulling
is actually a
strings.
really good point. I actually really like that.
Very
Yeah,
very similar characters
he's
if you think
legitimately
about
the
it.
parallel to Sidious's ploy, but just for the rebellion. Oh,
Without
that's
the
very
question.
interesting. That's a very very interesting point. I like that. But
I
yeah,
don't
it's
know
very
if I
true.
could see him being dark though, because of everything he's doing to bring about good.
That's the exact reason Anakin did all the evil he did was
Yeah,
to save Padme and do
sure.
good.
He's got good intentions,
There's not
but
like 99.999% of Sith have great intentions, but do it the bad guy way. And
Yeah,
then
I
there's
guess you're
1%
right.
of Sith like Palpatine who just want to watch everyone bleed to death
we
slowly.
can agree he's definitely not lawful good.
He's not lawful
No,
good.
no.
If he has the, I have a feeling if he would if ending the empire would wipe out a planet of innocence, it wouldn't phase him.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
right.
That's his character. I mean, sometimes you need those type of people,
You
even though
have to
you don't.
have the spark to light the rebellion, and a flame still burns, and it's not like it takes fuel, it takes fire, it takes
I,
passion,
I
and it
don't agree
takes
with. I don't agree with it, but sometimes you need those people that will
yeah.
do any means necessary type of situation.
You
I
got to
mean, yeah,
kick it
you got
off.
Saw and then now Lucian.
Yeah, Luthen.
Whatever.
Listen,
Like I've been over this. There's too
the only
many.
difference is you probably get more deaths with Luthen since he's pulling strings.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's kind of like how like Chopper has the biggest kill count because he blew up a star cruiser, but Luthen has a really big kill count too because he's the person who sent all the missions to do all the killing.
I don't know. Luke's still up there.
Luke is up there, yeah, he had the whole battle station, but that's not fair. I mean, come on, it's a whole battle
He's
station.
he's second place behind the no third place. Second place is the guy that pulled the trigger on the Death Star. First place is probably going to be the guy that hit the button on the Starkiller base.
Yes, that's first place because that was a whole
Yeah,
system. He took out a whole
yeah.
system. That guy wins. But hey, after planet killing, mega weapons, it's Chopper.
I would like to see the list of the kill count
Yeah.
on Star Wars.
If someone can I'm sure somebody already has it somewhere.
Right, Star
Yeah.
Killer, the Death Star, Luke blowing up the Death Star, Chopper.
I'm sure there's some Old Republic. If it depends if you go where
Oh,
you
if
go.
you're
Yeah.
going over Republic.
Yeah, if we go into Old Republic, then yeah, like Darth Revan and the mass shadow generator took out 2 whole armies. Yeah, Darth Nihilus 8 planets.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Just
about
pointing at a
that.
painting.
Yeah,
he has of Dark
yeah,
Nihilus.
the painting of Darth Nihilus right there. Yeah, Darth
Oh yeah,
Nihilus consumed a whole ass planets. He
I
didn't
totally
just
forgot.
he didn't
I
just eat the
forgot they took
people. He ate the plants and the women and the children too.
So yeah, yeah, the Prison Break was great.
Really well done. They jam like a tool into the lift while it's coming down to stop it, so they can climb onto the lift. Use the lift to climb onto the other level. The 2 dudes with
And
blasters suck because they don't just start like mowing them down immediately. They have, they're worse shots than
well,
troopers, and they're not even wearing a helmet.
they were pistols, so
Yeah,
it wasn't as easy.
but they are the nice dual grip, so
I
like you can
I
still.
guess if we're gonna get into Easter eggs, that's kind of an Easter egg is those pistols.
Oh really?
Those pistols have been in Star Wars many times.
Oh yeah.
Most notably, those are the DH-17 pistols. They are first seen in Star Wars as technically it's the first blaster you've seen in Star Wars.
Oh, that's right.
It
Yeah,
the
it's from A New
blasters.
Hope. The rebels use it in the hallway.
The
That's right.
rebels have it, but you also see it again in the movie. The stormtroopers, oh, they're technically, I don't think they're technically stormtroopers because they didn't have the stormtrooper armor. The detention guards
Mm,
that were in charge of the detention block where Leia is kept, they're also carrying those pistols.
okay.
I'm guessing they try to make it like a continuity thing where all Imperial detention or jail officers carry those pistols.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Must have a good stun setting, maybe. I don't know.
Right. That makes sense. Has a good stun setting. Doesn't kill the battery or anything too quickly.
Yeah, and for a while that was kind of seen as the icon because you see it on the ship, the
Yeah.
shuttle. So a lot of it's kind of was the standard rebel weapon until well even until Return of the Jedi when they did the
It wasn't until like later, and mostly because of the video games, that you have like the rebels really using like the big rifle
yeah.
ones.
It's the based off the Vietnam
Yeah.
16 is that one.
Yep.
I can't remember what the model is called, but yeah, that was one of my favorite rifles for a while
Yeah.
in Star Wars.
Star Wars rifles. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a great monologues, great writing, great
Oh, dude, the
cinematography.
writing. Yes, it's
The
so
shot on
brilliant.
on the underbelly of Coruscant was awesome.
Yes, it was so
Heavy
good to
vibes
see.
of I wrote down a heavy vibe of Darth Vader and Luke on Cloud City, but also
Hmm.
any other bad guy monologue, almost similar
Right.
scenario.
That's
You got a
the
platform
deepest
with
we've ever
no.
gotten into Undercity, right?
Not that we know of, because the Martinez sisters from Clone Wars were pretty far down there.
Okay.
But yeah, he was on like level 2 something, I
Yeah.
think.
It
Apparently,
was
the
really low.
Star Wars really needs OSHA because they don't believe in hand railings at all
Anywhere,
ever.
ever.
None. Maybe they're hoping for better graph
They don't
systems.
have bras and they don't have handrails.
One good gust of wind and he would have been gone. We would have
Yeah,
Star Wars would have ended differently, I guess.
right.
Um, but yeah, I wrote down a couple Easter eggs. I looked in a couple. One thing I got the Padme headdress in the shop.
Yeah.
Um, the one thing I noticed at the beginning of this episode was much louder than it has been in the older episodes. Because looking back, I did a little research. Apparently, with each episode, they added a new instrument to the intro music
Really
at the beginning. I'm
interesting.
guessing they're building it up as like maybe it's building a rebellion. Yeah, you
Hmm.
go back through
That
and
makes
it
so
like
much
starts off
sense.
with one instrument and they literally add each instrument with every episode.
That's a really cool thing. Wow.
I
The
didn't notice
more
it.
you
I'm like
know.
I was like, wow, this is way much more louder than I remember it being.
I just don't even think about that. I'm just like, huh, Star Wars, break go burr.
Uh, yeah, and then yeah, I talked about the pistols.
Love
Um,
those pistols. Yeah, very iconic. Inspired the most
the
recent build of mine.
It's not really an Easter egg, but the notice the prison shaped like the Empire logo, the iconic
Yeah,
hexagon.
they do that a
Um,
lot.
yeah,
Actually, they shape
not
a lot of
very
their.
not very creative
No,
in the designs.
not really.
But yeah, there wasn't too many Easter eggs in this episode. Um, yeah, other than the if we're gonna go back to mention talked about the scene with Daedra. Um, I mentioned I had something come across reading some articles at Andor and somebody mentioning something similar, but so I had you watch the clip before, so this is
Yes.
a clip in Rebels. Well, the whole prelude up to this kind of pays into this, but the clip that there's a speech in Rebels season 3 episode 1, and the episode steps into the shadow. At 18 minutes and 30 seconds, there is a speech by well, it starts off prior conversation of Governor Price. She's been trying to convince the higher ups, mainly Tarkin, early in the episode, that the rebels are much more bigger than the Empire thinks. There's a big, there's it's not just some little group.
Hmm.
There's more than we realize. And there's more than just like individual cells. Um, Admiral Constantine is kind of speaks up later on that kind of shuts her off, saying that he disagrees with what she stated. That he states that the rebellion has different pockets. So he admits they exist, and there's different pockets and different cells, but he states there's no evidence of a galaxy-wide operation that's linking them together. Um, to me, this shows either a continuity issue or it shows that in the end that Deja will fail to convince um, her level in ISB that there is Axis, there is this kind of puppeteer, this is a organized situation going on.
Well, I also feel like though, as you know, you are a veteran yourself, my friend, and happy Veterans Day.
Oh yeah, I should have stated early. Happy Veterans
Yeah.
Day. You are a veteran.
But we also know that the intelligence groups and the like military upper brass don't always agree on everything. But especially when it comes to like Tarkin, I think because Tarkin and his boys in that set of the Imperial Navy, they don't think anyone actually stands a chance. Because from where they stand, when they go to a planet, they literally glass it, bombard it, do whatever they need to, and win. So to most of those Navy commanders, they are correct. There is no such thing as a rebel. We kill them all. The second we find them, we blow the whole planet up. Who cares? Um, but then we have Commander Price or Moff Price, I guess at this moment, whatever she controls Lothal for a second,
Yeah,
and then the Grand Admiral Thrawn, who disagree completely because they're looking at a bigger picture. I could see it also being a bit of a continuity error though, because of course Rebels was written before Andor.
Well, the thing that you didn't, unless you watch kind of the episode surrounding it, you get agreement with Tarkin. You also get agreement with Thrawn, who one of the credit, that would be more credit because he's in with the ISB.
Yeah.
So the fact that he kind of agrees with Constantine, well, he does essentially agree with Constantine, but he takes the side of Price later on because he knows that he's already been investigating stuff like this. So like I said, it could be a continuity issue. But I think it's more likely that she fails to prove that there is an axis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not only to agree with what you're saying, but I think also it helps prove that the higher ups are too arrogant
Yeah.
to really take any credible threat unless they, you know, see warships arrive.
Right. Until they see
So
another battalion, they don't think there's anything worthwhile.
See,
I
and kind of
I
a
don't
part of
think it's the
that.
Navy or intelligence issue. I think it's just more of a higher ups in general issue.
Yeah. See, and to part of that, I think that the Navy thing, they don't care unless it's a bigger threat. But do we know exact time when this is going on?
Mm-hmm.
What's the
Yes.
difference?
Yeah, because we know the time period of Rogue One.
It's
So.
a few this part because it's third season of Rebels. It's roughly 2 years after, the scene in Andor or what's going
Okay.
on currently in Andor.
Okay. So
Um,
we have about a 2 year gap.
yeah,
It could be it's still like ISB's centered and they're not letting that information get out.
From the core to the outer rim could take
Yeah.
a bit, but 2 years now when they have
Well,
communications
not
like they
not
have.
from that from a strategic standpoint. So that would make sense why Thrawn then is aware of the situation and then eventually jumps on stuff and he's looking into stuff already. It's not something they want to get out because they don't want people to know that the rebellion's happening.
I view it like the Romans versus the barbarians in the Germanic forest. The Roman emperor would never have admitted that the Germans were kicking their ass. The Roman people were never allowed to know that, hey, there's this big German army. No, they're just a bunch of barbarian clans. They're all scattered. No, it's a huge German army, and they're totally gonna destroy any Roman that
Kind
goes
of
into
like
that forest.
with the
separation of information.
but with the context, it's not really a separation because if you watch, like I said, I would have to show you multiple episodes. But the context with it actually more acknowledges that they don't have real solid evidence that it's ever happened.
Mm.
Okay.
Like I said, the biggest evidence is Thrawn essentially agrees with them. Yes, he basically goes yes, and this happens, but and then far later episode he starts pursuing. I think one reason why we don't get much more evidence is because right now I think the supervisor that's in charge of them, I think he eventually doesn't get enough evidence that he pushes it further up the ladder, up the
Yeah.
chain,
Mm.
so it almost dies within the information within those officers ISB because
Yeah.
That's something I
in
could
the
see
end
more.
in the end, the timeline isn't proved. She's
Yep.
not able to fully prove that Axis is a real thing to them. And so it kind of just gets like, let's move on. We got more important things to go
Right.
on. We got this prison break. We got
Or
this going on.
they do get Axis and they think they win and they give them a scapegoat and they think, oh yeah, they got the rebellion. Don't worry, guys, we got it, and they move on.
I don't see them catching Luthen, at least not this
I
quickly.
could see Luthen sacrificing himself.
Yeah.
Not in this season, no, but
Definitely at some point in the future. He's probably. I
I'll-
feel like he's building Andor up to take his place.
well, because he can't be around because that motherfucker would
Oh, yeah,
definitely
no.
have been in the rebellion and
We would
in
have
Rogue
seen him
One.
in
Well,
everything.
I don't think he's building Andor to take his place. I think he's building Mon Mothma to take his place because
Yeah.
eventually they need a public figure, and
Yeah.
Luthen can't be that public figure.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and Andor is not a public figure.
Andor is the go get him, not the plan at all.
Yeah. So I still think this scene, if there's not a continuity issue, proves that she's gonna eventually fail, which I think is kind of obvious since
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
don't really take the
she
rebels
can't do
seriously.
too good. If she does too good, then there's no such thing as Star Wars.
Well, if we look at, they really don't take the rebels seriously until really until just before like Rogue One, like
Yeah.
Here's another
even
theory.
Rogue
Does
One
she
don't really
fail,
take them
or
that
does
seriously.
the pencil pusher make her fail? Like cause something to go wrong.
Who knows? I mean, and we have Cyril. Cyril could fuck it up.
That's what I'm saying.
Cyril
like,
could somehow get in there
he's
and just ruin everything.
Get too gung ho about catching Andor that he makes her fail.
Accidentally kills them
his
all.
his she could be close, and his involvement ruins any credibility they have.
Yeah.
Because because he's one of the solid pieces of evidence they had, and now he just seems like an insane person.
Yeah. He's just a crazy guy who's in love with Deidre. But no, yeah, the cinematography was really well shot. But again, yeah, the writing and that's one of the things is like I love this show because the writing's so good. And like a lot of the naysayers are saying like this was the first good episode of the whole series, and I'm like, you're fucking stupid. This whole series has been really, really good in a lot of parts. But yes, this episode was just all around very well paced. Of course, a lot more people like it because there's gun battles and fire.
Yeah. We've
Pew
had
Star Wars.
we've had great stuff that had great writing. Clone Wars, Rebels both had great writing, but most people are more familiar with what comes out recently with
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan and Mandalorian, and those weren't really the best writing. I mean, they were great shows, but there was not a lot of depth to them. It's not compared to when we get with this whole world
Mm-hmm.
building, these speeches and everything. I mean,
It's
and
so
the Book of
amazing.
Boba Fett as well.
Yeah, it's so amazing how we know what's going to happen with this character, and yet this show feels so new and fresh. Like anything's possible.
It's breaking so many grounds in Star Wars alone. It's it's so crazy. It's in they use Star Wars to basically tell a Star Wars story, but in their
Mm-hmm.
own way, and it works. It doesn't feel forced. It everything feels much needed.
Yeah, but
And
that's
so
what.
it's just it's and that's and a lot of like video game or comic or book stuff that's been out recently. And you get a lot of these shows on Netflix that are like they get these like novels and they want to like bank on the popularity, and they don't write them
Mm-hmm.
based on how they're pre-written. I guess one thing that helps this is that the story's not really written before the show,
Yeah, and they
at
have a lot
least
of
not like
freedom
in a
here.
novel basis.
And
Yeah,
again, that's what like I'm excited, of course, for the things we're gonna get with Ahsoka and all that because that's a little bit. I feel like that'll also be the kind of same amount of free, where we have a general idea where the story might go or where it could go, but we don't know exactly anything. Like it's very free and open as well. But the thing that's really got me excited is the Acolyte because all of these shows take place right after the from Clone Wars to Imperial Wars. Like that's where all of this is taking place, and it's not really a long time. So they are running out of space rapidly. Getting the Acolyte to be in the High Republic set before Phantom Menace. This is when we finally get. This is going to help us really get to things that are going to move us on in a different direction. That could really open up Star Wars to Old Republic and things like that, where we're going to have just huge open playing field to just throw ball in, like just go ham, and that's going to be really necessary, I think.
well, there's so much major things going on around this timeline that and so build up to post
Mm-hmm.
High Republic that there's so much impact. There's no way this can't be such there's so much content essentially.
Yeah.
There's they can't they can't miss out on anything. It's gonna be a big show. I will say though that Andor probably gonna ruin a lot of these live action series for me because they really set the bar high.
Yeah.
Compared.
Mando
I
season
mean,
3 is
or
gonna
they're
be
gonna
good.
keep up this level
I mean, oh, that'd be amazing.
because they're proving
I
they can with 12
Yeah, I
episodes.
won't argue with it. I will not. I won't
Because I
argue
want
with it. I
it,
do.
but I'm not gonna be surprised if we don't get it either. But Mando season 3 will be fun. That's also another show that has a lot more freedom to it because you have no idea where that's going with Grogu. Like we're literally zero
And
idea.
then we have the Studio Ghibli drops coming on.
That was nuts.
Like, what are they doing? And why did they have a little Grogu figurine?
Or is it just a Yoda? Are we reading too
well,
much
'cause
into?
it says
No,
Grogu. It has
it's
Grogu.
yeah,
It says,
Grogu.
this is the
yeah.
way.
Hey,
Yeah, it's 100% Grogu.
it is 100% Grogu. It could be anything though. Maybe what if Studio Ghibli is going to give us the origins to Yoda's species, and like that's why it's a Studio Ghibli movie because it's a bunch of little green goblins running around just living on a little
I don't
planet.
know. Getting an anime.
You're making me too happy.
Getting
You're making me too
anime
excited.
Mandalorian would be pretty cool too. So
That would be dope too.
That would be really cool. Yes, I'm excited because I love Studio Ghibli's artwork, and I think that'll make anything in Star Wars just so freaking pretty. It's gonna be so much fun to just stare at.
I mean, or what
It's
if it's like a later down the road step
Yeah.
for Grogu?
Mhm.
it's gonna be funny because that merchandise is gonna sell so much.
Oh,
The Lucas
I'll
Arts
buy
and
all of
Disney be
it.
like, why don't we do this sooner?
Yeah, why do we need another who else?
Because
Critical Role, get in here.
the Ghibli stuff sells so well. Like
Yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
merchandise is sells so much. People love the designs.
Because it's so whimsical, but also like can get very dark.
Well, I've seen every single person say what I'm looking forward to the most is some of that nasty ass Star Wars food Ghiblified. Because nobody does food better than Studio
Oh.
Ghibli.
Oh, we didn't get really like we don't typically get too much food. We get actual eating with Andor. So
Yeah. But yeah, no,
the
Studio
first
And drinking.
Ghibli, come on,
Well, we
that's
had
a
that before.
staple. There's gonna be a random scene and whatever they're doing here, and there's just gonna be this huge platter of Star Wars food, blue milk and everything, and it's gonna look
I hope they add
delicious.
the cap. I hope they do that Captain Crunch cereal on it too.
Yeah, it's just like a bowl of oops all berries.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I think this show did a really good job of giving us funny little things that they didn't mean to be like hilarious, but we picked up on it. Oops all berries with blue milk is going to be a classic staple now for Star Wars. People are going to just like pour a bowl of Captain Crunch and like look at me like, I'm having Star Wars cereal.
If you're
Also
if
gives
you're
them
gonna
things
make
to sell at the park.
Also things to sell at the park, yes.
well, it also makes sense if you're going to do if you wanted something that fits the 80s vibe or the 70s 80s vibe food that also is kind of sci-fi spacey, like a
Mm-hmm.
spaceman food, and then also something that you can mass produce if you want to sell it later in your theme parks. It fits all the bubbles.
Right, exactly. Put it on a grocery store aisle, put it in a theme park, put it in your mouth, eat it.
Slap a Grogu picture on the front of it, you're good to
Exactly.
go.
People will go nuts. Little, put little blue frog marshmallows in it. It'll fucking fly off the shelves.
Little eggs.
Little eggs, yeah.
Oh no. Oh god. Nothing like an endangered species to eat another endangered species.
There we go. You can't kill either of them. You can't stop that one because it's endangered. But the other one's
Causing
endangered.
causing genocide at
Mass
one bite at a
genocide.
time.
I would just love if that's like, well, actually, Yoda's species doesn't have a home planet because they all have to leave their home planet. Because if they stayed there, they'd eat the whole thing from top to bottom because they eat so much.
I mean,
Only
Yoda
4 are allowed on the planet at one time.
how do you think Yoda survived on Dagobah?
Yeah.
He was the top predator.
It makes so much more sense because how else?
Right. He was like, if he couldn't kill it, he was friends with it, and then he'd
I
eat
think
it.
that they say that he chose Dagobah because it's full of life and he could hide there, and it's like got such a good connection to the Force. But really, he picked it because everything looked tasty. So.
It was full of life, and then Luke got there, and he's like, "This planet, I only saw like 3 things," and he's like, buffet it was."
I still can't get over that Yaddle talks normal.
Yeah, I love that. Yoda talks like so. There are 2 explanations. I prefer the first to the second. The first one that I heard was Yoda speaks that way because it is actually the way his master spoke, and it is homage to his master. The one that and that's from Frank Oz. The other one that George Lucas kind of hints at later on, actually, though, is that it is because in the language that Yoda's species speaks, that is how they talk. So if you directly translated their talk to common or galactic basic, that's how they would speak. They mix things around.
Yeah. Also, heard there was something to do with he might have a speech impediment, speech issue when he was trouble translating it to the Galaxy Basic or whatever it's
Right. He had a stroke. They're just gonna make it really sad.
I also like the theory that he's just high as F because
yeah,
of
he's
the
just
stick.
high all the time. Guess that's the stick. Smoking a stick.
Oh, really?
Shave
He just likes messing with people. So
Yeah.
he does it just to see how.
Whenever he
I
goes
see-
and
I can
talks to
see that
Yaddle,
too.
he's just like, eventually
he did it
they'll
originally to screw with people's heads just to play pranks on them.
understand.
And
Yeah,
then
it sounded wise, so he
set-
just kept going.
people bought it, and he's like, "Well, they made me Grandmaster. It was a joke
Right.
at first, and now I'm Grandmaster, so I might as well just keep it going."
You got to keep it going. If I stop now, they'll kick me out of the order. They'll understand. I only have like 2 things I can do.
I'm just some bum they found on the street.
Yeah, and
It's like I had the rags and everything, and
I just
it's
talk
not.
really weird and say odd stuff, and they're like, "Ah, Jedi Master,
And then
this
I
is."
just go jump and flip.
Yeah, I'm just real strong. Good at jumping. There's that's one of the beautiful things about Star Wars is just the fun you can have in it, and that's another thing I like about Andor and some of these upcoming series. It really feels like these directors are having fun again, and like Andy Serkis was talking about, the cast is having fun, and that was a huge problem I had with the sequels. Is how interviews with Daisy and John Boyega and all them, like they weren't having a great time on set.
Oh,
They were having a fun time with each other, but they were confused as all hell because no one knew what was going on. At
What?
least here, everything is very. We
yeah.
have the idea. We're really diving into this.
Because we're getting out of the era of pushing movies out as fast as
Yes.
we can
And
and
also,
making them fit something instead of just letting the story evolve and letting
Mm.
people have
Yeah.
like
I mean, it's the same with
creative freedom.
video games, all kinds of things. There was a huge stint there in the sequel era where they were just pumping out video games or whatever way before they were finished. But everyone got angry. We're like, dude, this is not what we want. We want legitimate content. We want quality over quality.
That's why I'm completely okay if a game is like now, oh, we're gonna push back until like February. Cool.
Just make it
Work on
good.
it. Make it good.
I think a big issue they had too was it was a big transition to getting Disney, so I think they wanted
Mhm.
to prove it was something they wanted to prove, kind of sell the company. So there was built on that. So all everybody's focus was on the movie, and movies are the headline. So the biggest focus of the entire studio is in that, where Andor can kind of get away with more because they don't have all the departments all the focus on it.
Mhm.
Because there's other projects some of the other departments are focusing on, so they have a little bit more eyes off them. Also, since Andor's not expecting to be sold in China
Yeah.
and all these other countries, they don't have to try to fit every box to try to sell it to them.
Right.
So they had a little bit more freedom from that. And I think that's one thing that really hurt them is one to try to meet the expectations of what Disney would want.
Mhm.
And they had too many eyes watching them, and also they wanted to try to meet every market possible. And you're not going to.
You're not. You're not. You're just gonna. And by doing that, all you do is spurn the real fans who have been like here since day one, and then we don't want to watch your stuff anymore.
And
Seeing we can also
ruin it for the actors and the
Yeah.
employees. Because yes, if they weren't under contract, we probably wouldn't have gotten John Boyega or some of the others. I felt
Yeah.
like he wouldn't have made it to the last movie.
Right, exactly. No, but they knew what they were doing. They had to like it's just it's shady to a degree. Thankfully, it's done. It's over.
Yeah.
We're in a new era where things are working out really well. Everyone's being treated far better. Everyone's having way more fun, and it's visible. That again, that's the whole point. It's super visible when your actors and your directors and the whole set are having a good time and are passionate about what they're doing. It bleeds onto the screen, and it's extremely easy to see. And that's exactly what this is. This is extremely easy to tell that everybody involved with this is having an absolutely great time and is really enjoying themselves. But
I
at the
think
same time, that that's going to lead to, like you said, the standards are really high now. So now
yeah.
they have to continue this. They have to be able to keep pushing out really good quality stuff, or the backlash will be tremendous.
But I would like if I had a choice to say anything, which I don't. I just get to watch it. But if I get to say, I would like to see, I'd like to see the Mandalorian, the kind of serial aspect
Mm-hmm.
of we just get the, the fun stuff to watch. It's always great to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I would like to get something more like Andor, that's something that's more mature, got a little darkness to it. Something that blurs the lines of good and evil, something
Yeah.
that,
Makes you
it
think.
isn't just
see. I
flashy
think the reason we're
lightsabers and
getting
giant
Andor and we're
monsters.
getting it to be this really good thing is because of how Mando went.
Yeah.
Because Mando was their test. It was them
Oh,
putting
yeah,
the toe in
yeah,
the
for
water,
sure.
going, "Can we do this?" People
But yeah,
loved it.
we
And
need,
we're getting more.
we need the best of all of it though. We need Andor to give us things to think about and talk about and be riveted by the implications of a scene. But I still want Mandalorians shooting stuff and lightsabers every now and again. Like don't
Yeah,
completely forego lightsabers just because we're all fascinated by this. Like the universe of Star Wars is so massive that's the beauty of it, is you can have multiple projects going on at once that are entirely different from one another.
You get your headliners like The Mandalorian, that is a lot of it's pushed to sell products, sell the idea of Star Wars. You
Yeah.
got your characters like Grogu that you plaster on everything. You got your giant monsters to make action figures to kind of be your headliner to show in
Mm-hmm.
trailers. We got this big, you know, the Crate Dragon. We
Yeah.
got the
Krayt
the
dragons, rancors.
Rancors. You got all these different monsters that can show great on trailers. The big action shots,
Yes.
and so those
Jetpacks,
you
laser
gotta have
swords,
those to
TIE
make money.
fighters.
Because even if those are always gonna detract the most attention because
Yeah.
they're the shiniest. But to keep people around to me is in the long run is good writing, good cinematography,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing I think I like the most about this is nothing feels forced. I don't feel
Sure.
like they're trying to sell me anything. I don't even with the cereal. Even as goofy as it was, I'm like, this still feels weird to see it, but I don't feel like they're trying to sell me an actual cereal. They
That's
don't,
true.
you know. I don't.
Anything that, like, when the new figures come out from this series, like Luthen and all them, I want one, but not because the show made it look cool,
Yeah.
just because the writing was so amazing. I fell in love with the character and then wanted it.
20 minutes ago.
20 minutes ago.
Oh, is it another leak?
Yeah, it's a Studio
Another
Ghibli.
teaser?
It's Studio Ghibli.
And it
It's
has the Disney Plus stuff.
it has Disney Plus stuff on it too, but it shows Grogu chilling underneath like 5 of the little suit sprites from which one was that one?
House Moving Castle. No,
No, it's not House Moving Castle.
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away. I was like, it's something about
I'm like,
that.
all
Yeah.
words eventually.
But yeah, that's so we got
20
even more
minutes ago.
teasers. They're just gonna. I have a weird feeling they're about to drop a
Zen,
whole.
Grogu, and Dust Bunnies, a hand-drawn animated original story.
Okay, I have a feeling that's gonna drop like in the next week, and we don't even
Streaming
know.
tomorrow.
Streaming tomorrow.
I'm surprised we didn't get it at
There we go.
the
Breaking
D23
news,
Expo.
everyone. Streaming tomorrow. Studio Ghibli and Star Wars. Grogu and the suit sprites.
You know I'm gonna be watching this like every day, all
I
day.
now have
done.
a feeling this is for children, but it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Well,
fun.
They're
have a
doing more
child,
child
so-
stuff.
Yeah.
They have that cartoon coming out. I don't remember what it's called, but
Yeah, then they have all the Lego stuff that's come out as well. Like they've done a lot of stuff that's more for young adult kids.
the Legos is not necessarily geared towards kids. It's a very competitive
Yeah,
Lego crowd with the Star
that's
Wars.
true.
Very. It's Young Jedi Adventures. That's the kid one.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they have their own books and stuff out for kids. They have younger comic issues that are easier to read and stuff. Like they're doing a lot. They're really pushing themselves out there and doing a lot of things to really make Star Wars a staple again. And it did it. Like Star Wars is everywhere. Everyone knows what Star Wars is, and if you don't, then you know of it. You just choose not to watch it.
Yeah, it's starting like I mentioned before. It's starting to get away from the kind of obscure nerdy thing to watch and getting away from the kind of shallow, like I said, a lot of stuff we've gotten is really shallow and it's really
Uh huh.
just explosions. It's the whole Michael Bay type explosions, laser swords, monsters, and getting more a lot more in depth. And so you're getting we get attract more serious critics and more. I'd say anybody that's a big movie buff or big like loves watching movies and films and shows would really like Andor.
Oh yeah.
Which those type of people wouldn't like watching the Book of Boba Fett. Uh,
Yeah, I can
think
see that.
I said it before, but Andor is now going to be one of my staples every year.
Yeah, Andor is awesome.
Whenever we do like our watch through.
Which I was just thinking, I need to rewatch Mando. I need to rewatch Book of Boba. I need to rewatch Obi-Wan. I need to rewatch a lot of stuff.
well, yeah, definitely Mando one next year for that.
yeah, gotta rewatch Mando before February.
Well, I know we were talking about doing a watch party. We can do something for that.
Yeah, we want to do a watch party for Bad Batch. Just try and maybe start doing some watch parties and rewatch stuff before these next few seasons start popping out.
Bucket party.
Yeah, bucket parties. That's going to be a big part of this too. Is really making sure to, with this channel building and community, and not just our community within the channel of Ducks and Download and the House of Holocrons, but Star Wars in general. It's growing so much to where, like Star Wars Celebration in London is going to be nuts this next year. And then the year after that, when they come back to the States, I'm going. I don't care what it takes. I'm going.
We gotta
I
celebrate.
need to go to
Yeah,
celebrations.
I've been dying to go for the longest time. It used to do it every 4 years, and then they changed it
Yeah.
to 2 years, and then they made it yearly.
Well, I
Disney
mean, they
Disney
had
basically made it
to.
yearly. Yeah,
All the
but
content that's been coming out.
Yeah.
back in the day, it was every 4 years, and if you missed it, you gotta wait way longer, and
Yeah.
then
Now it's just
yeah,
another big, E3 Comic Con San Diego style, which I'm down for though. I'm down. I'm all here for it. I'm ready to go. I am so ready to go to celebrations. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Um, it's gonna be expensive, and I don't even care. I just don't even care. I'm not even gonna think about the price. I'm just gonna plan on going. I don't care. I don't care. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be so much fun.
that was always on my list, and then of course when Disney added the parks, and I
Yep.
added on my list.
Yeah. Galaxy's Edge will be another one. Thankfully, Galaxy's Edge, they're all year.
Yeah.
Much easier to go to than celebrations. Celebrations will be fun. Galaxy's Edge will be fun. We'll definitely end up, try and maybe plan a channel thing. We can go there and do a live broadcast podcast together one of these days from Galaxy's Edge and just have a great time.
Future.
In the future, like all good things. But the future is also looking bright for the shows. I know we definitely are getting another sequel era series though. They are in the effects of planning out and writing and beginning the next trilogy movies, which will be set with some of the sequel actors returning. So I'm expecting Rey and Finn and the big ones, more than likely Poe. We of course have the Acolyte. We have Skeleton Crew. We have the Ahsoka series.
Yeah, confirmed right now. Coming up, we have Bad Batch,
Mhm.
Mandalorian, and Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, and then the Young Jedi Adventures,
Mhm.
and then of course they've announced a couple other small projects, but those aren't fully confirmed yet.
Yeah.
The movies will for sure be a thing.
Well, and all of this
Um,
is actually making more sense too with the Yoda stuff now that I think about it, because the Yoda standalone comic is going to be dropping soon, which is going to take place over the 800 years of Yoda's greatest adventures.
I
This
said
this is like his greatest hits.
Oh,
the
this will
Young
be fun.
Jedi Adventures is gonna have Yoda in it, and he's one of
Yeah.
the main characters.
So it looks like we're going to finally start getting a lot more Yoda-ness,
We need to
understanding
start
that
getting
old
some
man.
lore about his species or him in general, like his past. and
Or
stuff.
not, sometimes it's kind of nice to have the one mystery still. But I agree. Like, it'd be great
There's-
to
It's
know,
getting
but
too meh. It's like, okay, cool. We don't know anything about him. How am I supposed to like
So
more?
so is
'cause you do.
Grogu's Yoda and Yaddle's secret love child. Is that what it
Exactly.
is?
Yeah, that's why I've always loved that. I mean, hey, Kiadi Mundi was allowed to have babies.
I mean, it would make sense if there's only a few, but we don't know because we don't
We
know anything
don't
about the species.
No, nothing. We
They
don't
don't
know
make
nothing.
they don't make Jedi sterile, so
Yeah,
just
right.
saying.
They're not eunuchs. Just in case. I mean, heck, ancient Jedi, Old Republic, they used to sometimes two Force users would, get together just because they knew that their child would be hella Force powerful, more than likely.
They said they
That's
couldn't have attachments or relationships. Nothing about making children.
yeah, nothing about reproduction. Well, on that lovely note, as we are approaching our hour, everybody, just wanted to thank you all for joining us. Those who did not remember and will be watching this later or listening to it on Spotify, again, the House Holocrons podcast will from here on out be at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time every Friday night. We moved it back an hour so we could have a little bit more time to get home and get ready, which as you can see, look at that. Like I got more lights on and stuff. Isn't that cool? It's a little different. We have so many things to look forward to in the Star Wars universe, and not to mention just the things with each other. Now that we have all this great stuff coming out in the Star Wars universe, that means we need the better fan films, which I'm sure all these amazing fan films are being shot right now, which is why I'm not seeing them on YouTube. Where they at? We gotta start seeing some of these fan films. We gotta start making them. We gotta start doing this. Show Lucasfilm and LucasArts that we are just as ravenous as always about it, and don't just let all of this content put us into a lazy lull where we sit on the couch and just get, veg and watch.
Consume.
Yeah, don't just consume. Make. That's one of the beautiful things about the Star Wars community is all the things we make and the groups we build. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel for future podcasts and other videos revolving around the Star Wars universe. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, may the Force serve you well.
May the Force be with you.
And now we do the fun little waiting game where I wait to see when the stream is over on YouTube.
Beep, 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 beep.
Doop, 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 doop.
Alright, I'm gonna get this boy fed.
Get him. All right. Yes, get the young man fed.